Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on the latest trend in cholesterol management. I'm Valerie, your host for this session. Whether you're looking to improve your health or find new ways to monitor cholesterol at home, this session is for you. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Kate T, the founder and CEO of SG Diagnostics. She will be sharing her experience on cholesterol management and how new technologies will greatly convenient how you manage your cholesterol at home. Her vast experience in diagnostic technologies, especially in the area of chronic illness, will give you valuable insights on this topic. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Kate.
Okay, thank you, Valerie. Hi, good morning. Thank you for all who turned in and joined today's webinar. So a little bit of background about myself. So I'm Kate, I'm the founder of SG Diagnostics. And before SG Diagnostics, I was actually a researcher. So I was trained in NTU with a PhD and postdoc, both in diagnostic area. And then through the COVID time, we feel that there should be more diagnostic products available in Singapore market. So together with my co-founders, we founded SG Diagnostics, and we hope that through SG Diagnostics, we can provide better quality and more affordable and more accessible diagnostic solutions to the Singapore market. So today my sharing will be in 3 subtopics. The first part is some basic information about cholesterol. Hopefully through this session, you'll know more information about cholesterol, where I'll also identify some common myths. Hopefully, we can clarify them and get you more equipped with knowledge about cholesterol. Then the second part will be how you can manage you can monitor your cholesterol levels. What are the ways, what are the products you can use to monitor your cholesterol levels? Then after knowing your cholesterol level, will be the third part is how you can actually manage your cholesterol. So without further ado, we go to the first part is what do you know about cholesterol? Do you actually know the enemies that we're dealing with? So in general, cholesterol is actually an essential part of our body. So it's a waxy, fat-like substance that is actually found in all the body cells. And our body actually makes cholesterol through liver. In fact, our liver make all the cholesterol we need. And when we say cholesterol is a fat-like substance, that is a little bit technical here, but because it's a fat, that means it's actually insoluble. That means it cannot travel alone in our bloodstreams. In order for our body to utilize cholesterol, the body actually need to package into lipoprotein. So lipoprotein may sound a little bit tongue-twisting, but you are actually familiar with this term because you often hear HDL and LDL, and the lipoprotein is actually the last letter L in HDL and LDL. So after knowing the basic information about cholesterol, the first myth I would like to clarify is common misunderstanding and misconception is by default, when we hear cholesterol, the term cholesterol we feel is bad, right? So we always feel that maybe all cholesterols are bad, actually avoid all the cholesterols. But the correction is definitely this is wrong because cholesterol is essential for our bodies. How so is cholesterol is actually a crucial part in our cell membrane. You see this hexagonal area in our cell membrane. This is cholesterol. So the cholesterol is very important in maintaining the cell membrane structures. That means actually without cholesterol, we cannot live. So it's a very important part of our body. And at the same time, cholesterol is also very important in hormone productions and the vitamin D production process. When we see hormone production and vitamin D production, we can see that if our body have too low cholesterol level, we may face problems like depression because we may not have enough vitamin D productions. So basic information about few types of cholesterol. Why I say cholesterols are not all bad, but indeed there are some cholesterols that are bad. That's why it's important to know your cholesterol levels in details. There are good cholesterols and bad cholesterols. In general, the common, more familiar cholesterols are LDL and HDL. So LDL stands for low density lipoprotein, So this is the lipoprotein that I mentioned at the very beginning. This is the lipoprotein that helps the cholesterol to be more soluble in our body, then our body can utilize it. Right? So the low density lipoprotein is actually the bad cholesterol because it contributes in building up the plaques in our arteries. So if we have too high low density lipoprotein, then we have high chance to have more plaques and then have high chance to develop heart attack or stroke. At the same time, we have high density lipoprotein. So this is the good cholesterol. HDL actually helps to remove excess of cholesterol from the bloodstreams. It removes the plaques formation. Then it also helps to prevent the artery walls against the LDL cholesterol. So they're actually, fighting against each other in maintaining our body's health. And another common types of cholesterol is triglyceride. So triglyceride is actually the fats in our bloodstreams. When we eat too much food, our body converts excess calories into triglyceride again through our liver. And then triglyceride is also bad. So remember, not all types of cholesterol are bad. High amount of LDL and high amount of triglyceride are bad for you, but good amount of HDL, that is the good cholesterol, is good for you. And cholesterol is such an important thing to monitor. High cholesterol are main cause of heart disease and stroke. It's a leading cause. Another myth, second myth, is cholesterol can be felt. A lot of people feel is, you commonly hear this term, say, hey, I feel good. I'm probably healthy. I don't need to monitor my cholesterol. But very different from common disease like flu or urinary tract infections, cholesterol actually have no symptoms. That means you cannot feel that you have high cholesterol. And in our past experience, we have found a lot of people who do not even know they have high cholesterol. And the alarming number is in Singapore, 50% of the residents who have high cholesterol do not know they have it. And the only way to find out you have high cholesterol is to have blood test. And then the third myth is only certain group of people need to worry about high cholesterol. Yeah, we already talked about, right? Not cholesterol cannot be felt, but some people may feel that I'm still young. I may not have the chance to have high cholesterol. But in fact, from this chart, you can see age group from 30 to 39, actually 1 in 4 have high cholesterol. When you reach age above 50, 1 in 2 have high cholesterol. 1 in 2 is actually an alarming number. Does it mean you don't need to worry about? No. Even in the young age, you need to worry about your cholesterol. But it does mean that with your increase in your aging, your cholesterol chance of developing high cholesterol indeed increase. So yes, your parents do have high chance to have high cholesterol than you. That means you also need to, watch out for their health and remind them to go get their blood test out to monitor and to know whether they have high cholesterol level. And also a little bit fun number is even for young people, really young, those, fresh from undergrad, age between 18 to 29. And for so young, still 15% of those people have high cholesterol. And this can be genetic reasons, this can be dietary reasons, can be so many different reasons, but the number is here. Even for your young people, you still need to test and watch out to know that whether you have high cholesterol. Then we reach to the second part of today's sharing is, do you actually know your cholesterol level, right? So now I actually want to do a little bit of exercise. Can all of you here today in this webinar help me to tap out in the chat group? Tell me that whether you know your cholesterol level. You can just tap simple answers like yes and no. If you know your cholesterol level, if you recently have done a blood test or annual checkup, yeah, can you let me know whether you know your. Okay, I see. Oh, good. I actually see so many yes. I always yes. Okay, Koi is no. Yuk is also no. Okay. Oh, Jiaying also no. Yeah. So actually, I don't mind if you don't mind me asking, Jiaying, I know your reason of not knowing your cholesterol? Is it you haven't get your cholesterol tested? Or what is the reason? Can you share a little bit? Oh, I just got the report this morning. Great. Oh, dying testing is complicated. Oh, still below, yeah, we just mentioned about that, right? Below 25 years old, you still have high chance, more than 10%. You may have high cholesterol. So still better get your cholesterol tested. Then you will know your cholesterol level. So diagnostic testing is complicated. Yeah, thanks so much for your response. It's really nice to see so many of you actually know your cholesterol level. It's very good for us to understand. So yes, common reasons for people don't know their cholesterol level is number one, yeah, definitely inconvenient, because until recently, I would say the only way to get your cholesterol level tested is to go to see a doctor, go to a polyclinic or your GP doctors or even hospitals to get your blood test done. And everybody hates the blood test, the venous draw blood. And I would say majority of us also don't like to see doctors. That means it's super expensive when we need to get a simple test like cholesterol done. And of course, the result is not even instant. Sometimes when we do the blood test, actually all the time when we do the blood test, they will draw the blood and tell us in 2 or 3 days, we'll know the result. And of course, the common reason of not knowing, like what the participant mentioned, Koi has mentioned, below 25 is you don't know that, or you don't think that you actually need to test your cholesterol. So the lack of knowledge on the importance of testing is another reason for people not knowing their cholesterol. But I hope, after today's webinar sharing, you can know more information and you can know the importance of testing and knowing your cholesterol level. So here I want to introduce a little bit information on point of care test. So when I mentioned I was a researcher, so I was a scientist for almost 10 years, and I was doing research developing point of care test. So when you see a little bit tongue twisting terms, point of care test, you may feel, not familiar, right? Too technical. But in fact, all of us, I believe, are very familiar with point of care test already. The first commonly used point of care test is glucometer. So nowadays, I believe all of us know how to use a glucometer or already seen a glucometer being used in real life. So in fact, the glucometer was introduced and developed in the 60s, so quite some time ago. And before the glucometer was introduced, people actually need to go to see their doctor to get their glucose tested, just for a simple test. And imagine such a painful process for all the diabetic patients. They need to go to see doctor almost every other day to know their glucose level in order to know whether they need to take insulin, whether they're at danger of high blood sugar, etc. So then glucometer point of care test developed was really helpful for those people who need to monitor their glucose more regularly. And another one that we're all very familiar with is probably pregnancy test. So it's also a very commonly used point of care test. So pregnancy test was introduced in the 70s. Again, before pregnancy test was introduced, in order for you to know whether you're pregnant, apart from seeing the more obvious bellies, you have to go to see doctors. You have to get an ultrasound test done to know that you are pregnant, which is very troublesome. And now we are already so used to just get a pregnancy test from the shelf. Just go down to the Guardian Water and get a pregnancy test and do it at home. And of course, another one that we have recently seen the power is the COVID test. Yeah, during the COVID time, I believe all of us have done COVID test. If not, we still have COVID test at home. So COVID test is another type of point of care test. So anything, you can do at home and you can get the result immediately. Those are all point of care tests. And in fact, I'm a true believer of point of care test. And I always say my vision and my dream is really through SG Diagnostics. And one day we can provide all the common tests for you to do at home. Instead of going to see the doctor, instead of getting a venous blood draw and weight and all the expensive tests. Yeah, so that's the little bit technical sharing about point of care test. Where is the good news about general information on how you manage your cholesterol? So I mentioned about point of care test, right? I also mentioned about how glucometer really help people to monitor their glucose level at home. So today in this webinar, I also want to share that we actually introduced our first point of care lipid profile, which is also a glucose test available online, also available in Guardian and Unity. Why I mentioned lipid profile instead of cholesterol test is, remember at the beginning I mentioned there are different types of cholesterols, and some are good and some are bad, and it's important for you to know all your different type of cholesterol level. So this is the power of this device as well, because in just a finger prick test, you actually know all your relevant lipid profile information, including total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, and triglyceride. So actually, this is the only point of care device in the market now that can do the whole lipid profile in just 2 minutes. And of course, it's probably a product of Singapore, and it's portable and easy to use. So after you've done that, then you will be able to know your result. Then you can compare, the result. The machine will actually give you actual number. Meaning, if I know my total cholesterol test result is 230, then I know that, okay, I'm borderline high. Then I probably need to watch out. I probably need to do some measures, which I'll talk about later, how you can help to manage and improve your cholesterol. So after, like, within 2 minutes, you know all these 4 numbers, and you remember, just to recap, the HDL is a good cholesterol, which is why you can see the optimal number is actually on the high side. So if you have a 70 HDL, that means, perfect. You are very healthy in terms of HDL level, and your HDL is really good. And then triglyceride and LDL are the bad cholesterols. So if your triglyceride number is too high or LDL number is too high, then you need to watch out either your diet or either your exercise to really monitor and moderate your cholesterol levels. So all these reference numbers are available online, in our website, also in WHO website, MOH website. These are international guidelines that you can find. And then after you know your cholesterol levels, let's say really, unfortunately, you land on the yellow or the red zone in the cholesterol test, don't worry, cholesterol can be managed. But bad news is cholesterol cannot be managed overnight. So even you fast or you run for 10 kilometers, your cholesterol will not be improved overnight. It's a very long process, and it's daily routine process in order to improve and in order to achieve a good cholesterol level. And of course, the first and most important thing is diet. So at the very beginning, we mentioned our liver produce cholesterol through the dietary intake and through our body process. So dietary intake is very important for our liver to produce moderate and good cholesterol, to maintain the day-to-day health, right? So when I say food you need to monitor is, number one, we need to avoid food with unhealthy fat. Those will actually boost our liver to produce bad cholesterols like triglyceride and LDL. And healthy fat, including those processed meat, which is on the left. And another one, which might be a little bit bad news to those cheese lovers, is full fat dairies. Yes, cheese, even though cheese have a lot of protein and is a dairy product, but it's actually a full fat dairy. So doesn't mean you cannot eat, but you really have to monitor the amount you eat. Then what are the food that are good is food with high fibers, because those food like oats and vegetables, high fibers, are also high in vitamins, and then those food can actually help our liver to produce good cholesterols and lower the LDL productions. And again, those are just examples of food that you should avoid and you should take. And for more information, we can always go to Health Hub and go to MOH website, and they have very detailed information on what kind of food we should eat and what kind of food we should avoid. And the next type of food that are really good for the cholesterol level is actually food that are high in omega-3, like salmon, like walnuts. Because omega-3 actually helps the liver function. When our liver is happy and is functioning well, then it will increase the amount of good cholesterol, which is the HDL production, right? So when we have good cholesterol level, then the overall cholesterol level is more healthy. Since remember, we also mentioned the HDL and LDL are kind of fighting against each other in the plaque building. So if you eat more food, more healthy food with good omega-3, then you are helping your liver to produce better cholesterols. And of course, food alone is not enough. We also need to exercise. And I'm also a follower of our minister's TikTok. He always talk about how exercising is important and how you should, really go out. Even just a daily 30 minutes brisk walking can already help you to burn 100 to 200 calories. The exercise doesn't have to be very intense, but it's better to build your own exercise routine, like a small walk and cycling. And of course, you can do strength training. Just go out to get yourself moving, and then it can really help to improve your general cholesterol levels. So those are the general information. I know like today we actually covered a lot of information, starting with something a little bit technical on the cholesterol technical terms and technical functions. But I do encourage all of you to read more information to know the cholesterol. We always say knowledge is the power, right? So if you really want to monitor and help with your cholesterol management, the first is to read more to understand how different cholesterol functions in our body and what is good to us, what is bad to us. And of course, Singapore government actually provide a lot of good informations like Health Hub information, MOH, and other health provider do give very thorough information on how to monitor and how to manage your cholesterol levels. So later we'll go for the Q&A session, and that's all for my sharing. I'll pass it back to Valerie.
Thank you, Dr. Kate, for your valuable insights. To sum up, we have gone through the different types of cholesterol, the importance of cholesterol, and the risk of high LDL. We have also learned that you can find out about your cholesterol levels through blood tests and point of care tests. And lastly, you can manage your cholesterol levels through healthy lifestyle and using point of care tests to track changes. We hope this session is useful for you and you can impart your new knowledge to your friends and family. We would now like to open the floor for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat. And while we are waiting for the answers, kindly scan the QR code to give us feedback and do follow our social media pages. The links are also available on the chat for easy clicking.
Okay, I can see one question for the cholesterol monitoring system. Can we do the test any time of the day without fasting? So to achieve a more accurate number, I do recommend you fast, especially for the triglyceride number and LDL number. But in general, yes, you can do the test any time of the day. Usually the cholesterol testing will not affect the result of the total cholesterol and the HDL number, but the triglyceride may affect if you just finished a fatty meal and if you just, just after some fatty food. So for more accurate results, I do suggest to do it in the morning and do it after fasting. Anybody have other questions? Can I check if cholesterol level? Yes. Short answer is yes. So cholesterol levels are definitely linked to genetics. Yeah, and I'm on the high side also, by the way. So my cholesterol level is not as healthy, even though I eat very healthy, exercise very, very routinely. But I'm in the borderline. So because I still monitor very, very carefully because of genetics reason. So unfortunate for people like us who may have genetic reasons. We have high cholesterol, so then it's even more important for us to monitor and to moderate the food we eat, and yeah, to try to be more healthy. So another Raymond, is it okay to take omega-3 pills? So I'm not really equipped to with knowledge to answer this question because I'm not a dietitian. In general, all I would say try to go with more food approach. But whether you should take omega-3, I think you can consult more dietitians to get a more exact answer. I'm sorry about that. Then Sam asked, there's a risk when the HDL is too high. HDL is too high. In general, we seldom see HDL is too high. Yes, these are more medical related answers. If your HDL is too high, it may also build up the plate, but this is not a common route. This is, I would say, one of the rare conditions which you should definitely consult our doctors as well. Indeed, HDL, for example, a good healthy HDL is anything above 60, and really more healthy and more active HDL can be 70, 80. And through our past testing, we see 90 and even close to 100. And those are all very healthy individuals. But I would say if your HDL level is really, really high, then you should consult your doctor to see, what is the actual reason, especially if your HDL is very high and your other cholesterols are imbalanced, then probably you should watch out. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Danny asked, what is the cost of the cholesterol monitoring product? Yeah, so the product is already available in Guardian and online. So Guardian listing cost is 488 for analyzer plus a box of test of 5, and every additional test is every box of 5 is $96. Yeah, but for today we will actually offer some discount, so some coupons for you, which Valerie can share later on the pricing part. If one has taken antibiotics, would it affect the reading show high level of liver enzymes? Okay, in general, we have tested the device against some common drugs that you are taking. It should not affect the result. It should not affect the reading. But for any more technical and specific, if you can share with us afterward, we would like to have our more product specific scientists to answer this question, to take a deeper look at what kind of antibiotics you are taking and see whether it affects. In general, it should not affect the reading. Yeah. And Try is asking if we can attend a talk. Oh, that is true. When we talk to a lot of clinicians, clinician would also share with us, in general, they only care about the calculated, they only care about the LDL level, because that one is the most, I say, kind of the most dangerous. Is direct contributing your plate building and your artery health. Yeah, so LDL is the most important. If you really have to monitor and care about your total cholesterol, then yes, before you improve your HDL by dietary and exercise, I would say you should lower your LDL first, because that one is more dangerous and more immediate. Yeah, so do watch out on your LDL level. Yeah. Is high cholesterol totally reversible? Oh, this is a very controversial question, complicated question to answer. Reversible, I would say because this is not really a disease, right? Like straight away, high cholesterol itself, I wouldn't say it's a disease, but high cholesterol can lead to multiple complications, disease like stroke, heart attack, heart problems. So when it's not a disease, whether it's reversible, it's hard to answer. I can only say high cholesterol can be lowered definitely with dietary and with exercise. And of course, worse in the last result, if your cholesterol is really high from dietary or from genetic reason, then doctor will probably prescribe you like statin to lower your cholesterol level. So totally reversible. Hard to say. It's complicated also because of your genetic and other conditions, but it's really important to manage, and it definitely can be lowered if that can answer your question. High cholesterol can totally be lowered, and yeah, and those can be improved and managed. Yeah, I see our colleagues have sent out the link, which also will share with you where you can get cholesterol. Oh, Jenny is asking, I love my bacon ham sausage. Yeah, I also love those. So is eating once a week too much? I wouldn't say so, honestly. I think that's why I mentioned it's not when I list those food. If you go to Health Hub, you can find more information as well. They will not suggest people to totally cut or nothing can be totally not eating. So the answer is you really have to moderate. You have to moderate the amount. Of course, if you say you eat your bacon, then you suddenly eat 1 kilo like gram of bacon, no, it's too much. But you only moderate the amount and exercise. I don't think it's too much. I think we all still got the chance to enjoy our bacon, ham, and sausages. Yeah, and you say, how do we increase our protein basal metabolism without increasing our cholesterol if we choose eat high fat and protein food? Okay, so in general, if you choose, okay, there are research shows that if you choose more plant-based protein, it's more healthy. Because you remember, we also mentioned you should not consume too high food that high in fat and unhealthy fat. So if you eat food with high in protein, try to reduce the fat content in the food, then it would be better. And in general, yeah, just eat more healthy based protein source. I do recommend plant-based protein like beans and those. Since I do have seen some research done in showing that like those unsaturated fat, little bit of unsaturated fat can help you, but try to avoid those high fat food. For example, some people do ask this question for high fat and protein food like peanut. Okay, peanut is high in protein as a nut and it's also high in fat, but because it's a little bit mixed and saturated and unsaturated, so I would say you should moderate amount of peanut to eat, things like that, and instead you try to go to more like healthy nuts, walnuts, yeah, almond. Those are the things you can do to manage and manage and help with your cholesterol level. Yeah. So okay. So I see the Grisha has the question. There is this marigold HL milk that contains plant sterol, which have been proven to lower blood cholesterol. What are your thoughts on these products? Okay. So this in general, I have never tried those. So I shared I have a little bit higher cholesterol level, so I really try to exercise more and eat less red meat, for example, like moderate amount of red meat, for example. So I've not tried these, but in general, there are publications showing that it may help. It can help lower your cholesterol levels. I think I do. In general, I feel it's more balanced answer when we deal with the cholesterol. we can never trust in one source of help to just lower our blood pressure apart from medications, right? Medications do help. That's very strict answer. But before we go for the medication, the answer is always very balanced. Cannot rely on a source say that because this one has proven to lower blood cholesterol, then I can just eat whatsoever. Still cannot, right? So it's a more moderate. In terms of this one, I'm sorry because I have not tried it, so I cannot give you more useful answer. But I did have seen some research shown that those blood storage can help to lower your blood cholesterols. Yeah. So Danny says, I'm told that statin is bad for liver. Okay, so number one, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician, so it's really important to talk to a doctor to manage the medications you take. In general, not only statin, a lot of drugs do give pressure to your liver. So common things like when doctor first put you on statin, they will test your liver function. They will monitor your liver function. So it does put strains on our liver. So I hope that we all can manage our cholesterol before we have to start the medications. But in general, are there other medications? Yes, but do check with your doctors. In general, it's a coordinated effort. Not only medications, dietary, exercise are still very, very important. So I think it's more of the mixed approach to monitor to manage your cholesterol levels. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Danny. In our Sam is asking if LDL is too low, will it affect our brain function? Will it cause the onset of dementia? Okay, so I'm sorry, the question getting more and more clinical and technical. A lot of those are, and please don't take my answer as it is. Do check with your doctor. Talk with your doctor and ask them. And for Sam's question, if LDL is too low, will it help affect our brain function? I don't know for sure. I have not seen any direct research. I would definitely like to find out more information on the LDL too low part. Yeah, if you can share with us after this webinar by email about this question, I would like to find out more from the research perspective to see whether too low LDL have some adverse effect. But do check with your doctor if you suspect your LDL might be too low. Yeah, because whenever we deal with cholesterol, it's always very complicated. Different people genetically have different threshold in a way, how the daily exercise can affect their level. And some people, lucky them, their HDL are just by default high, and some people like me, I have to spend a lot of effort to maintain a healthy HDL level. Yeah, so different people are very different. So really have to know your own body, know your conditions, and know your levels, and then read more. If you're interested in this area, I welcome. We can even have a discussion group to share all this technical answers, and hopefully we all can know better. We all can one day become the expert of cholesterol in the future. So Danny, I'm sorry, due to the time restraints, I would probably take last two questions. Danny asking, in our Asian cooking, you can seem to avoid cooking oil. What are good cooking oils? Okay, so I'm not a dietitian. Okay, I'm sorry. So in general, yeah, this part I really have to say our government have been doing such a good job. Like recent month or years, they launched this health level in all our consumer product, right? The different tier A, B, C, D, different levels. So that's the first referral. We just check which level is this cooking oil, whether it's healthy or whether it's not, and then online like Health Hub and even sometime Google ChatGPT can give better answer. The good cooking oils part. I apologize because I'm actually not cooking myself, so I don't have much knowledge in this area. But do check on the health hub information and check on the government recommendations. And now I'm so used, whenever I buy anything from NTUC, I just rate which health level it is, whether it's healthy.
This one nicer.
I just go for the A. Yeah. So that's that. Hopefully, that can save you some effort to choose what are the food to eat. Yeah. Okay, I think we yeah. Thanks. And again, I apologize for all those, more technical or more clinical questions. I wouldn't be able to answer. But feel free to write us by email, and I'll always be happy to have a more technical or more scientific discussion with all of you to share more information about cholesterol. And again, we all hope that one day we can become, starting by expert of our own cholesterol level, then we can become expert of a general cholesterol level, and then we can help not only ourselves, hopefully we can also help to manage those loved ones, right? Our family, our friends, and get all of them to become healthy as well. Yeah, I hope my sharing is useful.
Thank you for all the wonderful questions. So remember, and also for staying with us all the way to the end of the webinar. Remember, we mentioned about the surprise voucher when you signed up for this webinar. So everyone here will get a 30% discount for our cholesterol analyzer through your email. You can check it out after the webinar if you're interested. So if you have any more questions or need further information, do not hesitate to reach us out at SG Diagnostics. Once again, thank you for taking your time to tune in. We have come to the end of our webinar, and I will leave this QR code so that you guys can fill up the feedback form and also follow us on our social media pages. Thank you.